Ema, set apart. Shalom, shalom, Elijah, peace and blessings. Vinette, shalom, shalom. All right, beautiful people. Happy Friday. Today is Veterans Day. Hoorah to all my military comrades. They got a bunch of free stuff out there for the veterans. I never go because it always be too packed with stuff. Probably just like, I'll cook my food anyway. All right, beautiful people. But just in case you didn't know, which I'm sure all veterans do. You know what? Today I'm going to post, or at least for the Hampton Roads area. People here. I think all the people here that I know that they already know. But just in case there's somebody there that don't know. Or shucks, they might be in another place. They see the veterans links and all that stuff. I'll put it up there. They could probably still call it. And it may not be the right office for them, but they definitely can direct them to where they need to call. So I'm gonna do something. I'm going to post something this year about veterans resources and stuff. All right, beautiful people. Anita, greetings. Apple girl, shalom, shalom. All right, beautiful people. Happy Friday. It is November the 11th, 2022. Day 260 of year 4 of reading through the books of the law and the prophets under the 4-year consecutive day count. Day 1279. Today we're picking back up in the book of Su.ic.ide on page 19. Yep, page 19, chapter 4. Then we're going to hop on over here to the Field Guide to the Spirit World on page 62 and finish that. You know what? I think I forgot to make the playlist for the Book of Su.ic.ide over here. I definitely know I did it on the backup channel. Every morning when I go to post a video, I add them to the playlist, and I can never find Su.ic.ide. I was like, that's right, I need to create it. But he said, create this. Get myself a note. Because this time around, I'm doing each book along with the second time reading. It's a different playlist from all the first time reading. I think I'm going to change the name. I'm going to change the name of the playlist around so it's easy to spot, at least for me. Because when I go to pick it, I got to scroll through all these. It's a nightmare for me. I got to fix it. So I'll maybe put like Oahspe first time, Oahspe second time. That'll be the full playlist with all the books. But in each time, we're at least starting at the second reading, actually the end of the first reading, I started creating a separate books. But I think I'm going to also have to do that too, like second time, Book of Su.ic.ide. So all the second times reading is added in the correct playlist. So I'm going to get it together, y'all. All right, but anywho, Hana, peace and blessings. All right, y'all, let's get started. Father, may you be forever glorified for all the works of your hands. All right, y'all. Chapter 4, Book of Su.ic.ide, page 19 in big blue. So God established colonies in heaven for the reception of the spirits of mortals, and the colonies embraced the arts of healing, education, industry, drapery, manufactories, the building of ships, and all things required for the spirit, even as corporal things are required by mortals. And great labor came upon the hosts of God who found these things, toiling day and night, receiving the easiest and providing for them food and clothing. So quick recap from yesterday. Remember, it told us about the newborn spirits or the newly dead here, what we would call dead. They're called Easians. But as the new ranks under the first God, well, new God first, Su.ic.ide was the first God of earth, right? And so his chain of command, his lords and lord gods and all those ashars, all this stuff, right? So it got to the part about the ashars and the Asaphs. When the ashars or your guardian angels are done recording your life and you die, not that you die when they're done recording, what we're done with you now. I probably said that wrong, just in case we got some new people. When you actually die, they end the book of your life on earth. Then when you pass over into spirit, you're handed off to the the Asaphs. the Ashars, or the guardian angels, take your record of your whole life and they hand it over to the Asaphs. The Asaphs then look at your record, see what you did, and then they will place you appropriately where you should go, right? But when they get there, when it came time to feeding them, remember that the spirit, for a period of time after you die, will subsist on the same type of food that you fed it while you was living here. So at the time when you die, you were still a meat eater. The Asaphs would be in charge now of making sure you get your atmosphere and portion substance of the food, right? So when people here that still have their bodies actually slaughtering animals and cooking them up, frying chicken and stuff, they come and get the good smells and bring it back to you. They are no longer allowed to come themselves, right? Some still do get past their Ashars. They Asaphs, right? And they engraft themselves upon mortals, because if they let them come, they won't leave, right? And they're engrafted, and now we got another mortal or multiple mortals acting crazy, right? They got ASC, OCD, MS, whatever, all this stuff going on with them. So God told the Asaphs, you go get their foods, create a place here, and don't show them the path to get there, to stop all this from happening. So, and then when you get here, only feed the ones who have been actually moving and working, and those invalids and those unable to move themselves, because just like we have babies here that are unable to care for themselves, same thing, or some that may be crippled or deformed or whatever, until they are healed and restored, you also feed them. But everybody else, they can work, and if they don't work, they don't eat, right? He said, what was the word he used? Inspire them to work, right? Let them know once all the work is done, then everybody can eat, right? But what you will also do, not just inspire them to work, you will inspire them to help others. And I gave the little analogy about my kids cleaning their room and then helping Bella, with the exception of Isaiah. He's still learning. Okay. So God is chapter 4, page 19. I'm going to just go back to one because we only got finished with 2. Key, Infinite, Rising, Tabitha, Shalom. So God established colonies in heaven for the reception of the spirits of mortals, and the colonies embrace the arts of healing, education, industry, drapery, manufactories, the building of ships, and all things required for the spirit, even as corporal things are required by mortals. And great labor came upon the hosts of God who founded these things, toiling day and night, receiving the easings and providing for them food and clothing. And many of the hosts of God lamented that they had come to the corporal earth, and they framed songs and anthems of lamentation, and these they chanted even whilst at labor. God was troubled that they should thus lament in the presence of the Easians, and he called together the proper officers that he might rebuke them. But lo and behold, the light of Jehovah spake from the throne, saying, Rebuke them not, O my son. Did I not command them, saying, Behold, I have created a new world. Come ye and enjoy it, even the earth. And when they had come, said I not to them, Enjoy ye all the fruits of the earth, save the fruit of the tree of life, lest ye die? But Korpor spake to them, and they believed in Korpor. Wherefore then shall they not lament? Do they not remember their former homes in Ethera, and thus aspire to regain them? But seek thou, O my son, to make their lamentations a glory in the souls of the Easians, that they may also aspire to a higher heaven. The voice departed, and God, perceiving the wisdom of Jehovah, commanded certain officers to collect many of the anthems and deposit them in the library of Horeb in heaven, and it was so done. This then is after the manner of their lamentations, to wit, Where is my home, O Jehovah, when I was happy and my feet wandered? I dwelt with thy hosts afar, afar, thy glory shining. O the songs of thy upraised kingdoms, when shall I rejoice in the music of my own house? O those sparkling running waters, O the pastimes and feasts of love. Where is it, O Jehovah? It was my home in high heaven. I fell in darkness, wandering soul within me that leadeth me forth. The gardens of Jehovah stood on every hand, O senseless feet to take me onward. Into the darkness was I lured. Sweet perfumes rose amidst the darkness. Intricate in thy glory, O Jehovah, I lost the way. I was lost. The music of thy spheres was shut out. I was environed in darkness. Where is my home, O Jehovah? Why have I forsaken it? Crystals and high arches on every hand, full, standing out, shining, and the songs of my sweet loves. Such was my home and place of revelry. I bartered them all away, wandering forth, buried me in the opaque and the dark. Oh, for my home in high heaven, mirth, song, rest, and love, clear shining. Thou, O Jehovah, hast given me sons and daughters. Out of this darkness my gems were born. Oh, I will polish them up. Kin of my kin, I will raise them up. Thy goodness in heaven above will come, in ships of fire descending. My jewels shall enter and rise with me. We shall search for my home, the haven of rest. I see thee, O Jehovah, afar off, higher than the highest of heavens. O hasten my home and my rest. O ripen these, my precious diadems. O take us to ethereal worlds. But no one could repeat their numerous lamentations, for there were hundreds of thousands of them. And as the Etherians sang them, the Easians, the newborn, the atmospherians, longing listened, and looked upward. So these are the ones that Enoch talked about, the sons of God who came and had sex with the daughters of men, right? They longing for their home. They said, but we got to be down here and take care of these babies we done just made, right? Listen, y'all, look up. I got a home that's not here. Look up. Everybody look up. Oh, that we may come back home. Chapter 5, y'all. Zechariah, Yahu Yasharal. Shalom, shalom. Selah. Peace. I take Belinda Brown. Hey, girl. Hey, Animalistic Nature. What's up? All right, chapter 5, page 19. In the first year of Horeb, there were received into God's kingdom in heaven 1.5 million Ezians, men, women, and children born of the earth. And there were still left within the different divisions of the earth, with the Lord's 3.25 million Ezians, being for the most part fetals, and after 3.25 million. So reference number 3, and 3 at the bottom says millions of. All subsequent similar changes are not footnoted. See editor's note number 2. Next page. Page 20, verse 2. In the first 100 years there were born of the earth 170 million Ezians. Such then was the number of 3 generations of Ehims, which is to say that in those days the number of the inhabitants of the earth, not including the Asuans, who were not created to everlasting life, was 54 millions, and already had each of the Lord's heavenly places become large kingdoms. In those days, the period of 5 years was allotted to the Ezians as their time of infancy in heaven, requiring nurses and helpers, but some of them required many years more. Okay, so this is the first time where it tells you 5 years you in that first place. Okay. I know it's the first part. I know definitely when you get into the book of divinity, it goes through this, but I knew it was in here somewhere before we got there. Okay, verse 3, I'll read it again, page 20. In those days, the period of 5 years was allotted to the Ezians as their time of infancy in heaven, requiring nurses and helpers, but some of them required many years more. After 5 years, the Ezians were taken from the nurseries and taught by symbols and objects the rudiments of education, and drilled in processions and music and dancing and gymnastics, but every day they were required for a brief period of labor, some at weaving, some spinning, and some in transportation. And after transportation, this reference letter D, hold on. Yeah, reference letter D. So let's go to the end of the chapter, which is found on page 37. And D says, In other places in Oahspe, there are descriptions indicating that the vapor of earthly oceans create the atmospheric oceans, and the spiritual component of earthly terrain creates atmospheric terrain. These rise to certain levels and become the lower plateau of atmospheric heavens. Atmospheric spirits labor in a manner similar to mortals. Consequently, there are all manners of factories, industries, and methods of transportation. 1882 in lowest edition. All right, so let's go back. Page 20, verse 5. I'll read 4 again. After 5 years, the Ezeans were taken from the nurseries and taught by symbols and objects the rudiments of education, and drilled in processions and music and dancing and gymnastics, but every day they were required for a brief period to labor, some at weaving, some spinning, and some in transportation. The voice of Jehovah directed God, saying, "The structure of my kingdom in heaven requireth it of thee, that thou shalt make all labor an agreeable exercise for the growth of the spirits in thy dominions." And God commanded the officers of the realm of Horeb to lengthen the hours of labor according to the age and strength of the spirits received up from the earth, and it was so. Jehovah again spake to God, saying, "In all labor thou allottest to those who have sprung up from the earth, freely give to them to do whatever they desire. But thou shalt not suffer them to return to their earth kindred alone, unattended, lest because of their love they engraft themselves, becoming bound to mortals. But when they have lived 50 years in heaven, thou shalt not only permit them to return to mortals, but thou shalt direct them to do so, for in this period they shall have no further desire for engraftment." So if mama, granddaddy, daddy, auntie, uncle, your baby, if it ain't been 50 years, you know what? Shucks. After 50 human earth years, so if I was one, I'd be 50 years old, 51 years old. Well, shoot, half the family members might not even be living. Anyway, after 50 years, I'm just saying, especially if they ain't taking care of their bodies. Yeah, I mean, what I got to go down there for now? I mean, I'll go, but I'm going to come back every day like I'm supposed to. Listen. I'm going to go back up to verse 5. The voice of Jehovah directed God, saying, "The structure of my kingdom in heaven requireth it of thee, that thou shalt make all labor an agreeable exercise for the growth of the spirits in thy dominions." And God commanded the officers of the realm of Horeb to lengthen the hours of labor according to the age and strength of the spirits received up from the earth, and it was so. Kind of like our labor laws here, right? You can only work children for so long. But if they're your children, the labor laws, as long as it's a safe environment, you can work them as long as you want to work them. I mean, for real, it kind of says that in between the lines. Not that we work them till they can't work no more, but I'm just saying, if they're your own children, we would think that you're going to exercise some common sense with your own children and not run them into the ground, right? But anybody else's children, 2 hours, 2 to 4 hours school night, depending on how old they are. And then you can't even work them until they're 15 years old. Some places might get away with 14, right? Same type of laws being passed down here. And as you get older, the longer you can work, right? Look, verse 7. Jehovah again spake to God, saying, "In all labor thou allottest to those who have sprung up from the earth." Jehovah again spake to God, saying, "In all labor thou allottest to those who have sprung up from the earth, freely give to them to do whatever they desire. But thou shalt not suffer them to return to their earth kindred alone, unattended, lest because of their love they engraft themselves, becoming bound to mortals. But when they have lived 50 years in heaven, thou shalt not only permit them to return to mortals, but thou shalt direct them to do so. For in this period they shall have no further desire for engraftment." And again, Jehovah said, "As fast as thou canst appropriate the labor of earthbound spirits to help in the resurrection of others, so shalt thou do in my name. And even so did God and the lords under him. And in the time of 100 years, there were raised up to the second rate 20 million souls that had come forth out of the earth. And many of them comprehended the manufactories, the nurseries, and schools and hospitals, and heaven to the full. And they were in many things alike equal to the requirements of their teachers. The voice of Jehovah came to God, saying, It is well, my son, to take a rest. Behold, thou hast toiled 100 years, day and night, without ceasing. Thou shalt therefore appoint other officers, and spread out the kingdom of Horeb to cover all the land of Waga, the continent of Pan. And thou shalt appoint in my name thou most efficient officer to sit on the throne for a short space of time. For thou shalt travel and visit the 5 lords of the earth and their kingdoms. And thou shalt take with thee 1,000 heralds, and 1,000 messengers, and 5,000 musicians. And thou shalt have a ship sufficient to carry thy host, and to be as thy house whithersoever thou goest. See to it, and set all things in order, and depart thou on a journey of 1 year. And God called in the surveyors, who brought maps of the earth and heaven, showing the best places for extending the kingdom of Horeb. And God appointed 50 governors for the 50 places required, and he gave each of them 5,000 men and women to accompany them. And when they were chosen, God addressed them from the throne, saying, According to the commandment of the Father are ye chosen. And by his command will I come to your respective places ere long, and bestow ye with all that is required for building up colonies in Jehovah's name. As ye witness the founding of Horeb by the archangel Su.ic.ide, so may ye understand that I will come to you all. Go ye forth, then, taking your host, and lay down the foundations for your cities. As ye have learned from me, go ye forth doing as I have done. And as ye do with a small colony and a small city, so will I give into your keeping that which is greater when ye are prepared therefore. When God ceased, the marshals led the way, and the hosts, following their governors, filed in front of the throne, saluting with the sign of Jehovah's name, which was answered by God's hands upraised. Meanwhile, the Essenars sang in glory to Jehovah. Presently the host passed out and beyond the pillars of fire. When all had quieted, God said, Let the builders of ships begin now, and build a ship for me and my host, for the time draweth near. And let the graders choose from my laborers, who have toiled 100 years, day and night without ceasing, such as shall be my companions and hosts on my journey. According to their grades shall they be chosen. And even so were they chosen and notified. And God said, Whilst I shall be absent, there shall sit on my throne, being God in my place, he who standeth highest in the grades, according to the transcendency of him who hath done the most for the resurrection of the Essenes, so shall be your God and my God. And God commanded the graders to present before the throne the records, and the council of Horeb, that the council of Horeb might determine the matter. And this was done. And Hajah, an Etherian, was chosen. And God commanded them to send word unto Hajah with an escort to conduct him to the capital. In due time, the escort bore Hajah into the palace of the kingdom of God, and God was sitting on the throne. With music they came in and filed in front of the throne, forming a crescent with Hajah betwixt the horns. God said, By command of Jehovah have I summoned thee hither, O Hajah. Long have I known thee, even on other worlds. Of all virtues in man, which standeth the highest, which is, never to mention one's self, thou excellest all men in my kingdom. Thy labors for the general upraising of Horeb excellest all others. For this reason thou art preferred, and by Jehovah chosen to be my assistant while I am here, and in my absence to be my very God in the Father's name. Hajah said, This being the will of Jehovah, proceed thou. Hold on, I see comments. Make sure y'all can hear me. I know, right? Look, Selah said, very interesting how Sathantes came with millions of angels, but only 200 mentioned in Enoch, right? I noticed the Bible and Enoch, all them other books, they literally cut down the amount of everything. And they are famous for taking things and bottling it into like one person or into one area, so you don't even see how vast everything is, right? Even remember I mentioned to y'all in the book of Jubilees when it was talking about the creation of man, not that the creator made just one man and one woman, everybody flowed out of them. He said he created 26 kinds, right? And I'm like, 26 kinds, but clearly here it says he created hundreds and thousands, right, of couples at the beginning, right? So I'm just like, this is interesting. Everywhere you see this, just kind of dumb down the numbers a whole lot. Book of Remembrance, Enoch, talk about how people should live and work together in a community. You can pin this to what Oahspe is saying, yeah. But the spirit, time, and earth, time the same. But is the spirit time and earth time the same? Good question. In a way, yeah, and in a way, no. The way we perceive, okay, so it coincides, but in the way we perceive time, it seems like we are on so much more of a slower clock than the spirit realm, if I can say it that way, because it seems like there's no time in spirit, right? Just like there's no, like you can pray for something, like prayer. There's like no distance with the requirements of prayer. Like you can be on the other side of the earth and pray for somebody, and like it's still like, it just depends on who praying for real, right? And the circumstances going on. Things that happen like that, it's not bound by the confines of time. And just like here, like if you ever meditated, and if you look at those who meditate and actually got in the zone, so to speak, right? Or got in that sweet spot, you will meditate and say it'll be 5 o'clock. And next thing you know, it's 7. Like, oh my gosh, where did the time go? Like literally you trying to find out what happened during that time because it passed like that. Just like when you're having good conversations or you're talking about the Father, having real good spiritual conversations that actually have substance where people are learning. That's how like, oh my gosh, we've been up here 6 hours. We didn't even realize it was that long. So they kind of like coincide, but it's different. But I don't know. You get more out of the spiritual time than we do earthly time. I don't really know how to explain that the right way, but y'all get what I'm saying, right? Yeah. So that was to Anita, but it's spirit time and earth time the same. But I know you was when you were mentioning, you probably said that when I was talking about the 5 years and the 50 years. Yeah, man created time. I agree with that. There's like no time with creator, which is why we ain't gonna get into all that. It's, yeah. Tabitha said, I'm noticing the Aquarian Gospel, the book of Enoch, tries to bring out some heavenly and earth history, but Oahspe is more transparent than them all. Yeah, I haven't read the Aquarian Gospel yet, although I do have it. I haven't gotten to that one yet. So, yeah. I like that, Elijah. Oahspe brings all the spiritual books together. Absolutely does. Okay, so let me go back. I just wanted to make sure y'all could hear me. I saw the comments just, all right. Oh. Okay. Let me read verse 22 again and go. Who we at? 30 minutes. Okay. Verse 22. And I think y'all, let me see how long chapter 6 is. Okay, I'll read to the end of chapter 6 and then we'll hop over to the field guide. Spirit time and earth time are different unless the spirit is lingering on the earth plane. That makes sense, Selah. Spirit time and earth time are different unless the spirit is lingering on the earth. Yeah, I get that. Yeah. Okay. Page 20, verse 22. God said, by command of Jehovah, have I summoned thee hither, O Haja. Long have I known thee, even on other worlds. Of all virtues in man, which stand the highest, which is never to mention one's self, thou excellest all men in my kingdom. Thy labors for the general upraising of Horeb excellest all others. For this reason thou art preferred, and by Jehovah chosen to be my assistant whilst I am here, and in my absence to be my very God in the Father's name. Hajah said, this being the will of Jehovah, proceed thou. God struck the gavel, and the holy council rose to their feet. God said, in Jehovah's name I salute thee, Hajah, as God of Tech, to hold dominion in Horeb. And after God of Tech, or Teek, it could be Tech, T-E-K. It's reference letter E. Hop on to page 37, and E says, see plate 13, tablet Oahspe, 1882, 1891 edition. Plate 13. It's found on page 385. Yeah, page 385, plate 13, tablet of Oahspe, a system of numeration. And after Oahspe is reference number 22, and 22 at the bottom just says tablet of Oahspe, or numeration. And I'll show this. Page 385 in big blue, right here. I'll show it to Facebook first. YouTube. Okay. All right, so go back to page 21, verse 24. Page 21, verse 24. God struck the gavel, and the holy council rose to their feet. God said, in Jehovah's name I salute thee, Hajah, as God of Tech, to hold dominion in Horeb. Come forth and receive thou my throne for the Father's sake. The marshals then conducted Hajah to the foot of the throne, and God came down and took his hand and led him up. As they were going forth, a light as of golden fire came down from the firmament above, sent by the kingdoms high exalted, and God and Hajah were covered around about and illuminated. God said, by thy wisdom, love, and power, O Jehovah, do I receive this thy son on thy throne. Be thou with him in wisdom and strength for thy glory forever. Amen. God raised up a rod, waving it, and rain came down from heaven. Hajah said, in thy name, O Jehovah. Whereupon God stretched forth his hand unto Jehovah, saying, give me a crown for thy son, God of Tech, O Jehovah. And there descended, as if a small star, far lengthened out, a light of gold and silver, and it settled on God's hand, and he fashioned it into a crown, and emblazoned it with the sign, God of Tech, and placed it on Hajah's head, saying, in Jehovah's name, thee I crown, to sit on the throne in Horeb during my absence. Hajah said, thy son, O Jehovah, shall fulfill thy commandments in wisdom and love. May the Father, creator of worlds, give this thy son rest and comfort for the glories he hath wrought in thy name. Amen. The council said, Amen. The Essenars chanted an anthem of praise to Jehovah, and God led Hajah forth and seated him on the throne, saying, thou art God in my name, and Jehovah's also. And since I now go down to the earth to sojourn for a season, thou shalt be known as God of both earth and heaven. So God departed out of Horeb and embarked on a ship, taking with him 7,000 men and women for his escort, beside 1,000 Essenars and the crew of 3,000 to work the ship. So Hajah became like the vice president, sitting in for the president while he off somewhere, right? Chapter 6, and it's 19 verses in chapter 6, and we're going to pause after we finish here. Let me go ahead and move my marker. Okay. Page 21, chapter 6. And God went to the provinces of the governors of heaven, dwelling on earth, whom he had appointed and sent forth. And as he himself had been commissioned by Jehovah in Horeb, so did he install the governors on their seats. And the governors were situated within Wagah, Pan, at remote distances. But God sent messengers to them, notifying them of the time he would appear. And the Lord, being apprised of God's journey, established a protectorate in the Lord's kingdom in the city of Ulu on earth, and went and joined the ship of God, and traveled with him throughout Wagah, being present at the inauguration of the governors in these heavens. To each and all the governors, God said, Remember that which is given to my governors pertaineth to the things in heaven. For the Lord's matters pertain to earthly things, and to angels that labor with corporeans. But ye are allotted to the Easians, receiving them in heaven, providing them with places to sojourn, and in their helplessness supply them with food and clothes, and the rudiments of learning. God said, Remember ye also, the time cometh when each of these governorships shall attain to an independent kingdom, and instead of being governors, ye shall be raised as sub-gods. After God established the governors, the Lord persuaded God to visit his place in Ulu, and thence to go around about on earth and see the mortals with whom the Lord had to deal. And God consented, and the Lord sent messengers on before him, that the house of the Lord, which mortals had built, might be replenished and cleansed. And the protectorate notified the Ashars, and the Ashars impressed mortals to go and cleanse and purify the house of the Lord. And so mortals fell to work and cleansed the place, and burned incense of sweet myrrh and hepatane, not even knowing they were fulfilling the command of the Lord. When the ships of the host of God came to the city of Ulu, mortals saw it high up in the air, and they feared and ran hastily to consult the prophet of the Lord. And the prophet said, Behold, God appeareth in a sea of fire in the firmament of heaven. And God caused the ship to be made unseen, that fear might subside on earth. And he descended with his host into the house of the Lord, and they went and touched the things mortals had built, that they might perceive corporally. And the Lord gave a banquet, and the angels of God tarried 4 days, exchanging fellowship with the Ashars, who ministered to mortals. And the Ashars took the angels of God around about amongst mortals, both whilst the mortals were asleep and awake, showing them all things. And I got this highlighted because the very first time I read this, it reminded me of this dream, semi-dream. I wasn't quite asleep, that place in between waking up and still sleep. Like, that is where what we call the veil being the thinnest, right? And it's when I'm in that state, a lot of times I hear conversations that are in the other realm, and I'll see things right in there, right? And this had to be about, been here, I want to say about maybe about 3 or 4 years ago. I'll never forget it. Shucks, when we read through this the first time, the dream flashed in my head, or dream semi or whatever, but I was woke because I heard it. And I was talking as I was waking up. Okay. So we was living in a house where we was at before here, right? Like before the hotel and everything. We were upstairs. It was early in the morning. It was like 5 something in the morning, right? 5 something in the morning. And my husband was still asleep. And I was like, it's about time for me to get up, right? And I was coming from sleep to being woke in that state. And I was laying on the side of the bed, and I was laying on my right side, and I was facing towards the wall. And all of a sudden, it was like my bedroom just opened up. It was just open, right? Like it was floating in the air. It was just open. And here come 3 people walking. And they were walking in like a triangle formation, right? One right here, 2 behind. And they had clipboard, right? The one in the front had a clipboard. You know how you in a hospital and they give a report, you know, at the end of the day, walking past rooms and stuff, and the person that's giving report that's about to go off duty to the two or whoever coming on, it was like it had kind of had that feel, right? And so they was walking and they were looking, and then they looked in my direction. And when they looked in my direction, I made eye contact with all three of them. I looked, and they was like, "And is this one of the ones who would be?" And the one with the clipboard said, "Yep, she's one of the ones." You know, and I'm like, "One of the ones who would what? One of the ones who would what?" And I'm being nosy. What do you mean? What? I'm one of the ones who would be what? And I woke up saying that, and I sat up, and I'm like, one of the ones who would be what? I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope I ain't on the bad list. Right? Y'all remember when I was telling y'all that? So listen, it says, "And the Lord gave a banquet, and the angels of God tarried 4 days, exchanging fellowship with the Ashars, who ministered to mortals. And the Ashars," and this is the part I got highlighted, "and the Ashars took the angels of God around about amongst mortals, both whilst mortals were asleep and awake, showing them all things." And so I still don't know what they was talking about when they said, "Yep, she's one of the ones who would be." And that part, it died out. Like it was like I was prevented from hearing what that was. I heard everything up until that point except for what it was that I would be one of the ones of. I'm just like, and I think about that from time to time, and it just triggered it again reading over this. I don't know. Okay, verse 10. I'll read it again. Hold on, let me go back. I'll go up to verse 8. "When the ships of the host of God came to the city of Ulu, mortals saw it high up in the air, and they feared and ran hastily to consult the prophet of the Lord. And the prophet said, Behold, God appeareth in a sea of fire in the firmament of heaven, and God caused the ship to be made unseen, that fear might subside on the earth. And he descended with his host into the house of the Lord, and they went and touched the things mortals had built, that they might perceive corporally. And the Lord gave a banquet, and the angels of God tarried 4 days." I mean, hold on. This just said something that I completely missed. Clearly, we know that they can do that. They went, listen. Verse 9, "And God caused the ship to be made unseen, that fear might subside on the earth. And he descended with his host into the house of the Lord, and they went and touched the things that mortals had built, that they might perceive corporally." So they literally went in, and they going and touched the pew or something. Oh, this was made. Dun, 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 dun. They were able to touch and perceive how things were made. Everything that we built or whatever, how it was built, the materials, all they had to do was just lay their hands on it, and they was able to see that. I literally just, y'all probably did, but it stood out to me for some reason. I just caught that. Okay. "And God caused the ship to be made unseen." Turn it down, Pooh. "That fear might subside on earth, and he descended with his host into the house of the Lord, and they went and touched the things mortals had built, that they might perceive corporally. And the Lord gave a banquet, and the angels of God tarried 4 days, exchanging fellowship with the Ashars, who ministered to mortals. And the Ashars took the angels of God around about amongst mortals, both whilst mortals were asleep and awake, showing them all things. And because of the presence of the host of God, mortals were aroused with new vigor to worship the Lord, rising early and going to the house of worship and continuing all day, and not one of them knew the cause thereof. On the evening of the 4th day, God commanded his host to prepare to renew the journey, and the ship was again illumined and set for its course. God said, O Jehovah, who createth all, look down and bless thy Lord. He hath from his high estate in Ethera descended to these poor mortals to lift them up. Already he hath toiled with them 100 years. 3 generations have risen up out of the earth, and they began to glorify thee in thy kingdoms above the earth. Who but thee, O Jehovah, can honor thy Lord or know his sore trials? Behold, man groweth up out of the earth, saying, There is no Lord and no God, but his feet and his hands are guided every hour of the day. Yea, when he entereth the unseen worlds, they become seen, but he is helpless in a strange place. And thy Lord provideth him and teacheth him thy kingdoms. Thy Lord goeth from place to place on the earth. He findeth a corner and saith, Here will I build a city. He sendeth his angels forth, and they inspire man on earth to come and build a city. Yet when the city is built, man saith, Behold, there is no God and no Lord. Thy Lord bringeth the corporans together and guardeth them day and night, but man turneth away in strife and destruction. Then thy Lord withdraweth his angels of the city because of its wickedness, and lo, the city falleth in ruins, but man knoweth not the cause. Yet the Lord toileth on day and night, watching, guarding, striving to lift man up out of darkness. O Jehovah, Father, bless thy Lord and his host. Haste the time when man shall comprehend the foundations of thy kingdoms. The Lord said, O Jehovah, ever present, hear the words of thy God. He who comprehended the whole earth and the heaven of the earth, knowing no day nor no night. He dealeth with millions. His judgment is sufficient for all. Glorify him, thy Son of heaven and earth. He fashioneth the homes of thy lords and thy little ones in great wisdom. His love is the glory of all men. His strength fashioneth after thy foundations. Give swiftness and rest and joy in thy quickening to him, thy God. The mortals of the city of Ulu had gathered together to worship, and they were singing and dancing to the Lord. And the angels joined in the singing also. And God went and sat on the altar and illuminated it, so the mortals could see him. And the chief prophet came near the place of the Lord, and the Lord placed his hand on the forehead of the prophet, so he might speak in the name of God. The prophet said, Behold me, I am the God of heaven and earth, and my words come out of the mouth of this my prophet. Keep holy the 4 days of the moon, for they are the Lord's days. Do no evil, but strive for wisdom, and do good. And when ye are dead, behold, ye shall live, for I have places prepared for ye in my heaven. Rejoice and be merry, for the Lord liveth and reigneth. When the prophet ceased, God rose up from the altar, and his traveling host also, and saluting the Lord in the name of Jehovah, disappeared in heaven above. Go back up the second sentence in verse 18 where it says, Keep holy the 4 days of the moon, for they are the Lord's days. Those represent what we call the Sabbath days, right? They're the 4 holy days of the moon. You got 4 Sabbaths within a moon cycle. They call them the 4 holy days of the moon here. But also at the end of this sentence is reference letter F. So let's hop to F on page 37. And F says, see ceremony of Haidang in chapter Haidang in book of Safa. Also see chapter Osiris, verse 8, book of Safa, 1882, the lowest edition. We have 50 minutes. Hold on. Haidang. If I remember, Haidang is a pretty long chapter in page 556. That's 2 whole pages. Yeah, Haidang, high noon or sun degree. The same tablet is used in this degree as in dawn. The children of dawn always use the sacred name of Yolin, whilst the sons and daughters of the All-Light say Eloah or Jehovah. For the full reading of the tablet in Meth, the student will find assistance in the preceding tablets. We gotta read it. Okay. Well, yeah. I'm really not in a rush today, so if we read it, we may or may not get to the field guide. Let's see how fast we get through this. But first, before I read this one, what was the other reference? Let's read the shorter one first. Also see chapter Osiris, verse 108. thing is here. Wait. See chapter Osiris. Where it is? Okay, Safa. Osiris is its own book. Look. Am I tripping? I'm tripping. Also see chapter Osiris, verse 108. Hold on, y'all see a chapter Osiris in the book of Sci-Fi? Those that got it. Hold on. Am I tripping? Because I don't see it. I just went to the table of contents. About to read High Dang on page 556. It's just the book of Osiris, right? And the book of Osiris, it has multiple chapters. Let me see. Which is starts on page 122. Let's do this. Did I miss this the first time? Osiris. Yeah, it is. And I don't think any of the chapters have 108 verses. Not, at least not in the book of Osiris. Osiris. 108. It's not 108. And this. What is the longest? Hold on. No, that's Mahat. I don't know. So for the time being, until I figure it out, we're just gonna read this High Dang, right? So go to page 556. Jania Shalom. Nazarene Nassim Shalom. Okay. High Dang. High noon or sun degree. The same tablet is used in this degree as in dawn. The children of dawn always use the sacred name of Eolin, whilst the sons and daughters of the All-Light say Eloah or Jehovah. For the full reading of the tablet of Emeth, the student will find assistance in the preceding tablets. Dang, D-A-N-G. Let the faithless remember his Father in heaven. The rising sun adorneth the east. Here, the one Tavis or the Tavis and the Emetha give the signs of dawn facing to the east. And after Emetha is reference letter D. So let me go to the end of the book of Sci-Fi. And I believe it's just Emetha. I believe that just means faithless. Like Emetha. Yes. Hold on, V. Page 573, Emeth is faithless, singular. Emetha is faithless, plural. Okay, yep, I remember that. Emeth. Okay. Verse 2, page 557. Dang. Give voice, O ye that remember him. His name is a power in heaven and earth. O and I. In Jehovah's name, the salutation and signs with help and publication. So this is like a conversation going back and forth. Verse 108 is 530. Thank you, Hannah. Did I? Oh, okay. I get it. Osiris. Where it starts on page 5. Well, it don't start there. It's the whole it's this chart. Right. Okay. Yeah, some more interpretation. Okay, I remember. This chart, plate 63. Up here, if I remember correctly, this chart has 100 and... what was this? 121 emblems on it, and 108 is... this 108? Where'd it go? Hannah, you retracted the message. Hold up. But I see, hold on. The high priest shall set the sign on the moon that the unlearned may also know the sacred days of man. I think that was right, sis. I think, listen, because it was just talking about, hold up. Let me make myself a note here, this other footnote. Hold on. Page 530. Let's go back. Where did... wait, because we was talking about the sacred days of the moon, which is why we got to go to high dang. Like, it would have took me forever to figure that out. Hold on. Who is it? F. Keep holy the 4 days, on page 22, verse 18, verse 18 next to the last verse. Keep holy the 4 days of the moon, for they are the Lord's days. And it says F. So we went to F. F says, see ceremony high dang in book of... see ceremony of high dang in chapter high dang in book of Safa. Also see chapter Osiris, verse 108, book of Safa. What it should have said, right? That's why I'm going to make this correction so I don't mess this up again. This is, it should say chapter 1, right? Chapter 1, which is the Samoan chapter, right? It should say chapter 1 of Samoan. Because that's what it's at, right? And verse 108. Osiris begins at right above the plate of Aries, plate 65 to the right side. Osiris being interpreted as I am the light, the life and death, right? And go over, keep going. And when you get to page 530, verse 108, the high priest shall set on the moon. Hold on, let me start over. The high priest shall set the sign on the moon that the unlearned may also know the sacred days of man, i.e. Mass. And it has reference letter G. Hold on. I don't know. Page 530. Let me put this. Page 530. Just in case. This footnote is unclear, but I think you might actually be right. Starts on page 525. Right. Okay. Yeah, I definitely don't remember doing this the first time. Probably because I was confused the first time. I'm gonna have to go back and watch it again. Page 530. You said 539. You definitely probably meant page 530. You got 539. Is that a typo? I'm always trying to figure this out. Yeah, I think that might have been a typo because page 539 is not. Okay, son, love you too. Drive safe. Okay. All right, so let's just go back to High Dang. Where we at? We're at the Okay. High Dang was page 5. 56 when we started, but go back to page 557. Go back to page 557. Okay. And so when we're done with this, we'll hop over to the field guide to the Spirit for a few minutes. Okay. Verse 2. Dang, give voice, O ye that remember him. His name is a power in heaven and earth. O and I. I'm not sure what O is. Is O Osiris? I don't know. Osiris. I don't know what O is. But I remember is initiate. O and I. In Jehovah's name, the salutation and signs withheld from publication. D. Before proceeding on the road of everlasting life, let the Hayah measure the bread and meal, that far distant regions may not entrap us in want. If the measure be short, then we must replenish. The Hayar passed 5 times around the altar, spelling the sacred name by the motions of their arms, halting for that purpose at the eastern fire. The Orgivs now bring forth a polished stone tablet with chalk or ink to write with, and lay the tablet on the altar to the south of the tripod and the prophet's seat. The Wawa Tusas, or women, 5 in number, bringing water in basins, and set them down by the feet of Imetha. Hira saith, Arise, O children of dawn, come to the west of the altar, O children of dawn. This they do. East, with sound of gong twice. Hear us, O Jehovah, thy voice be with us, thy wisdom guide us, thy love exalt us, as we hope for thy exalted angels to come and minister to us. O show us, mighty and all perfect, how we can best minister to others who are less fortunate than ourselves. Sting us, O Jehovah, as with wasps and nettles, if we fail to devote our whole time to the lifting up of our fellow men. Thou hast measured all things and made wisely. Hearken to me, O Jehovah. 7 priests, representatives of 7 stars, now pass in front of the east, but face south and salute upward with the 12 preceding signs. East, Jehovah saith, As a builder measureth the place for the house, and provideth a sure foundation, let not my chosen neglect the all light that I have given to every soul. Ye are as the stones in one building in my sight, and every one must be squared for the place I fashioned from the beginning. Oh, that's good. Hold on. I'll read verse 7 over. East, Jehovah said, As a builder measureth the place for the house, and provideth a sure foundation, let not my chosen neglect the all light that I have given to every soul. Ye are as the stones in one building in my sight, and every one must be squared for the place I fashioned from the beginning. The Emetha shall be my house. To them will I give the whole earth. Yea, all others shall fail, but my chosen shall not fail. Jehovah saith, There have been idolaters from the time of the ancients to this day. Yea, they have had idols of stone and wood and brass, and they have had spirits in heaven and hell, before whom they bowed down and worshiped. But I put their idols away, and none can find them. See to it, O my beloved, that ye be searched out and made upright before me. Harya, speak, O Emetha. Remember, Emetha is faithful. Speak, O Emetha. Before the Father, raise up your voices. What was the building of the house of dawn? How stood the temple? How stood the spirit chamber thereof? The Emetha here give the description and name of the instruments used, the position of the stars, after which they repeat the reading of the tablet Emeth, all of which is withheld from this publication. After this, the Hira saith, H. By what right are ye in this chamber of light? EM, and I guess EM represents Emetha, right, or faithful. By right of our covenant with Jehovah, behold the ark. Jehovah's name we have written. H, what was done at dawn in the east? M, a philosopher passed twice about the table of the ancients. He held the key of many in one and disclosed it before our eyes. After that, he lit the incense and departed. Then we covenanted Then we covenanted, swearing an oath unto Jehovah, which was duly deposited, and thereupon were proclaimed under a Hawachah and Dargot, and then saluted children of dawn. H. How are ye still steadfast in your oath? M. Yea. H. What more desire ye? M. More light from heaven. H. Of the earth shall man learn earthly things, but light from heaven descendeth to mortals by the angels in heaven, who are the servants of the Most High. East. As the sun at noon is to the corporal earth, so is Jehovah to the souls of men. As the eye turneth to the east to behold the rising sun, so turneth the spirit of the child of dawn to Jehovah, the great spirit. North. He hath uttered the sacred name. His hands have made the signs of the ancients. His feet have run quickly to the afflicted, and his substance lifted them up. East. As the wicked findeth strength in armies, so not single-handed laboreth the child of dawn. North. He hath united in a brotherhood with many. In the chamber of holies supplicated he the great spirit. The words of enchantment are at his tongue's end. With his own hand writeth he on the stone the password of the faithless. It is the circumference of all. It extendeth from left to right and from below upward, and it holdeth the symbol of life. And where it says from and from below, it has reference number 27. And 27 at the bottom says from below and upward. Okay, verse 23. East. I am the self within all selves, saith Jehovah. Nor things seen, nor things unseen, nor light and darkness are, nor were, but all things proceed out of me and are of me. Into motion and life quicken I them, and all of them are but members of my body. East. I made man a spirit, but I gave him a corporal body that he might learn corporal things, saith Jehovah. Death I made that man might inherit my ethereal worlds in the firmament of heaven. East. But man turned away from me and desired the things of the earth, and after death his spirit was bound to that which he desired, and he became a wandering spirit on the face of the earth. M. In the midst of my desires, I am cast down. I am unworthy in thy sight, O Jehovah. Have I not set store on my house and my land, and on all manner of earthly things? Yea, as with a chain have I bound my spirit. Yea, as with a chain have I bound my spirit to become a wanderer on the earth. East. Man buildeth a kingdom, and he gathereth riches, saith Jehovah. Yea, he warreth against his brethren for the glory of the king and chief ruler, and profane man. For opinion's sake they slay one another outright. East. Jehovah said, the spirit of the rich man hath I bound, and the warrior and great captain, and the man of renown, and the leader of men, and his spirit cannot rise up from the earth. A companion have I made him in the lower heavens, to the wanton and the drunkard, to the chaotic and foul-smelling. M. Never, O Jehovah, will I raise up my hand against any man, nor will I war for the king, nor chief ruler, nor for any man, nor for any land, nor house, nor earthly thing. And though I be placed in front of battle, yet will I not take any man's life. So help me, O Father in heaven. East. And the spirit of the bound have I made to encompass the earth and all places, until they put away the darkness that is in them. They shall not inherit my ethereal worlds, saith Jehovah. Neither shall they hear my voice, nor believe in my person, for they have descended into darkness and are blind and dumb to my glories in the firmament of heaven. East. But I provided for them in their darkness, saith Jehovah. For I bring the earth into a light region in the firmament above, and I send my holy angels to deliver them out of darkness and bondage. In my name raise they up men with eyes to see and ears to hear, and I proclaim unto all the nations of the earth. And I proclaim unto all the nations of the earth. M. Make of my body and my spirit, O Jehovah, a servant unto thee. And whatsoever thou puttest upon me, that will I accept and do with all my might and wisdom and love. That which thou hast taught me will I proclaim, fearing naught that may come upon me. For thou shalt make of me an example of steadfastness for thy glory. For the loss of my earthly goods will I complain not, nor for imprisonment, nor toil, nor sickness, nor death. To thy servant these things are as nothing. Without thee, O Jehovah, I am as nothing. But thy servant will I be henceforth forevermore. Amen. Hold on, let me look at something real quick. I got to go back and look at this. A thought came to me. What did I? Right, okay. I'm going to have to go back and look at this. I got to think this thought all the way out. Hold on, before I even say anything. Okay, verse 33. Hi-yah. Hi-yah. I think I'm saying that wrong. Hi-yah. H-Y-A-A-R-H. Hi-yah. My friends, what was the light of the ancients? M. To learn the earth and call it Ah. To learn the sky and call it O. To learn the unseen power as the wind and call it Ioa. H. Which was the secret password to the lodge of light with the ancients. What was next? M. To worship Eloah, to do no murder, to keep holy 1 day in 7, to steal not and commit no adultery. Let me finish this and I'll bring out before I get to talking. Okay. Verse 36. M. To worship Eloah, to do no murder, to keep holy 1 day in 7, to steal not and to commit no adultery. H. What was the next light? M. To do not unto others that which we desire not done unto us. H. What next? M. To do unto others even as we desire them to do unto us. To love one's neighbor as oneself. To return good for evil. Here ended the ancient light. But in Cosmon, to the order of this day is added H. A greater light I now give unto you in the name of Jehovah, which is that ye shall do good unto others with all of your wisdom and strength all the days of your lives, and that ye shall perceive no evil in any man, nor woman, nor child, but in their birth and surroundings. M. This also do I accept of thee, O Jehovah. Help me to swerve not, O thou light of my soul, for thy glory and for the glory of thy dominions forever. Thereupon follow the anointing rod of fire and the key to the astronomical problems. After this is the M, are conducted to north, south, west, and east, where they are bestowed with raiment, the ceremony of which is withheld from this publication. Okay, so that thought that I had, okay, this kind of answered it just a little bit. Okay, so I was looking where it said north, south, west, and east, and I was noticing, even though the east was speaking or the north was speaking or the south or the west, I began to notice a pattern. I began to notice that I'm thinking, that's why I say I need to go back and double check. I got to read through that again. I'm thinking it's the Creator's voice coming from all directions of the earth, north, south, east, and west, because it seemed like as we was reading, it just kept, it just seems like the Father is talking, or whoever is representing him speaking from the east or from the west or from the north or from the south. That's what I was trying to pull together. I got to go back. We won't really have time to do it now, but it says, the last verse, thereupon follow the anointing rod of fire and the key to the astronomical problems. After this, the M are conducted to north, south, east, and west, where they are bestowed with raiment, the ceremony of which is withheld from publication. Okay, where we at? An hour and 15 minutes. Okay, but also, something else I was about to mention. If you go and read, and those of you who have already been reading it, right, the Scenes Gospel of Peace, yesterday, while I was listening to it again, it got to the part, I believe it's in book 3, where it's going, I think it's book 3. It could be book 2 or book 3. I'm almost certain it's book 3. I'm going to find it and I'm going to post it today. I'm going to copy and paste it. It gives the original 10 commandments. So it said these are the original commandments that Moses got from Creator, right? But because and what is amazing, the difference, I immediately saw the difference from those, and he took those and hid those in his bosom and gave man the other 10 that we currently see, which we can find in like the Babylonian scrolls and all that stuff, right? The Enuma Elish, I think I said that right. I probably said it wrong. But anyway, there was a stark difference, but all of the commandments referred and related to Creator, right? I'm gonna post it for y'all. You remember that? Okay. I'm gonna post it. It's amazing. Y'all gotta see this. I'm gonna learn these 10 commandments in this fashion, right? I'm like, this is definitely it's still good 10 commandments. You can keep them, right? Until you get some ones that give you a higher light. The 10 commandments that we have that I done taught all my children, I make them right over. I'm like, you know what? They're definitely, now that I done seen this, they're definitely of a lower light. They still suffice. They work. They still good. But these, why didn't we get these? These are the ones that Moses hid in his bosom. And he said, these right here, the children of light, right? The ones, spirit of my spirit. He said, they're going to get these and they're going to follow these. It's going to be a joy to them. I'm like, oh, snap, right? I just came across that yesterday. Y'all might have already seen it, but I'm going to share it today. It is so good. That's all I want to say about that. Look, let's take a few minutes and hop over here to the Field Spirit Guide where we paused at yesterday. We still in the Black Dog Unleashed, right? Let me see how many pages left. 118. We definitely might not be able to finish it, so we'll go for a few pages. We'll see how fast I read through, right? What is 7:33. I could probably go to 8 today if I wanted to. We'll see how far we get. Okay, so we paused on page 62, right? And down the last paragraph where it says, like Darren, many autistic children are exquisitely sensitive. I said I was going to start right there, but let's go up one. No, go back up to... Let's go back to the previous page where it asked this question, right? Okay. Page 61, very last sentence of the page. Writing about actor Robin Williams' suicide, his friend Dick Cavett asked, and y'all remember Robin Williams, right? He passed a few years ago. He took his own life, right? Okay. And you would never think somebody like him, with the movies he made, his bubbly attitude and all this stuff, this is kind of getting into the science of this a little bit. Okay. Writing about actor Robin Williams' suicide, his friend Dick Cavett asked, why does the gift for great performance seem to go hand in hand with unshakable depression? Cavett, 2014, page 54. Hold on. Where we were reading before we got to the book of sci-fi, we were on page, well, we started on page 19 in the book of Sathantes. Hold on. This is good. Hold on. Let me put my ending page. Hold on. We started on page 19 and we went to page 22, Jamil. Well, thank you for that. Let me put that right there because I would have been looking for it later. Like, where did we stop? Yep, and we read to the end of chapter 6. We read chapters 5 and 6. Yeah. Okay. Why does the gift for great performance seem to go hand in hand with unshakable depression? Cavett, 2014, page 54. It is in their openness that we will find the answer to that question, not in brain chemistry. Cavett, like so many who hope for medical breakthrough, speculates that there may be something in the brain chemistry of the performer that produces this woeful result. Will some chemical link be found? Well, okay, certain links are known. Low levels of serotonin, for example, have been found to have been found in the autopsied brains of some suicides, as well as in depressives and those with impulsive disorders. Mind and body work together. So the question really is the serotonin level a cause or an effect of depression? The black dog of depression, Winston Churchill's phrase, is so potent and unremitting that people have come to regard its cause as physical, like, say, diabetes or asthma. Depression is a chemical imbalance in the brain, say medical experts, but we are also told the science of understanding the human brain is still in its infancy. It is very difficult to make good mental health diagnosis. The best experts in the world have trouble in this area. Su.ic.ide 2013, pages 224 to 25. Sure, they have trouble. The deeper they delve into the physical for answers about the mind, the further they stray from the real but intangible realm of psyche. Out and out psychic sensitives like Darren Owens, who are open to the invisibles and their negative ambience, may not know exactly where the influence is coming from, but they can feel it. Darren, whose psychism probably began at birth, had suicidal impulses at age 15. He prayed to God for understanding. God, listen, I don't know what's going on. Why am I so different? Why do these weird things happen to me? I mean it, God. I'm going to kill myself. So show me your truth. He planned an overdose of pills. Owens, 2006, page 14. Like Darren, many autistic children are exquisitely sensitive. ASCs and paranormal incidents are often second nature. Remember, ASCs is altered states of consciousness. ASCs and paranormal incidents are often second nature. Prophetic dreams, mind reading, foreknowledge, communing with angels, hyperesthesia, crisis telepathy. Some of these children are ghost seers. The hovering spirit, for some reason, is often a deceased grandfather. William Stillman, author and autism advocate, has stressed that this is not unusual for many young adults with autism or Asperger's to reach the dark place and entertain suicidal thoughts. Other folks simply experimenting with ASCs, altered states of consciousness, have inadvertently landed in that dark place. And that's what we kind of talked about yesterday, about some people on YouTube giving their experiences about what happened to them while they were trying to go testing out stuff. I don't necessarily recommend that. I only recommend it if the Father is leading you in that direction, because you're probably ready for it at that time, where you can be able to get the lessons out of everything that is trying to be taught to you, so you can grow spiritually, right? And be able to decipher truth from error. Other folks simply experimenting with ASCs or altered states of consciousness have inadvertently landed in that dark place. Sitting in circle, seance, a psychic medium is suddenly seized with a desire to rush away to the rapids and throw myself into the Cuyahoga River. Fodor, 1966, page 266. Even seemingly benign pursuits like transcendental meditation and other mind-altering techniques of the New Age have been known to trigger, quote, bizarre disturbances, bad trips, psychosis, and suicide, end quote. Shouldn't we then think twice before trying to, quote, blow up and knock down barriers that God has placed in the human spirit to prevent a takeover by demonic beings, end quote. Hunt and McMahon, 1988, pages 51 through 52, and page 267. That God-given barrier has indeed been severely breached in the condition known as MPD, aka DID. MPD is multiple personality disorder, aka DID. I don't know what DID is yet. Black depressions and suicidal attempts are all too common among multiples. Examples are too numerous to mention. And after mention, there's an asterisk, and the asterisk at the bottom says, the interested reader can follow up with a few such cases in Spencer, 1989, page 86, Thig, Penn, and Cleckley, 1957, page 88, Schoenwolf, 1991, page 7, and Keyes, 1981, pages 19 and 23. I'll go back up. One case, though, is worth mentioning. The multiple Billy Milligan, whose own father, an entertainer, in parentheses, comedian, had killed himself. The suicidal strain running families? Yes, it does, but not genetically nor through brain chemistry. Nurture, not nature, points the way. And this is true really in a lot of things, and we can see it clearly just like in your eating habits, right? And you go to the doctor now, doctors who are not like master herbalists or not holistic, what they do to continue pushing drugs to you is they ask you, do diabetes run in your family? Does cancer run in your family? And if you say yes, they're going to start testing you for stuff, right? And a lot of times, not all the time, and a lot of times they're going to find something wrong with you, right? Oh, because you done told them diabetes runs in your family. So let's start checking your blood sugar and stuff, right? And by you doing that, I got smart to this when I started looking into, start taking control of my own health. Every time I went for a checkup, I stopped telling them things ran in my family. I was like, no, I have a perfectly healthy family, right? Because those who treat their bodies right and they eat appropriately, they are perfectly healthy. The only thing that is passed down, and I like this, by nurture, not nature, is the modeling that the parents do to the children. You got fat parents, you're going to have fat kids. Most of the time, right? Not all the time, right? But however the parents eat, and if the parents are preparing the meals for the children, them children going to be eating that same fried chicken, greasy food, things that clog up the arteries, clog up the lymph system, all this stuff. And now you got a 5-year-old got to have cancer treatments. A 5-year-old that's too big to fit in regular 5-year-old clothes. Things that you, because the parents are inconsistent and can't control things, are bringing or literally just pouring these things onto the child, which they have no defense, right? Because you are the one who's supposed to be caring for them and teaching them. But what defense do they have against you, right? If you don't eat it, you can go to bed hungry. And how many 5-year-old children are strong enough to be like, no, I ain't eating that fried chicken and that greasy food, I'm going to bed. No, these babies gonna eat, right? Because they hungry. The parents should be in trouble, right? And the parents are in trouble, right? Nothing is passed down genetically. I got to watch what I say, but it's passed down through modeling, right? How you model, just like how you act. You got a nasty attitude and stuff. You see these little babies and girl, and they recording it thinking it's cute. I'm like, I'm going to slap your neck to the other side. If you know, I got to watch my kids watching TikTok and stuff like that. So, but seriously, it's not from nature. It's from nurture, from your modeling and what you do, right? I just want to throw that in there. I know y'all all know that, though. Listen, one case, though, is worth mentioning. The multiple Billy Milligan, whose own father, an entertainer, comedian, had killed himself. Does a suicidal strain run in families? Yes, it does, but not genetically nor through brain chemistry. Nurture, not nature, points the way. Patty Duke, bipolar and suicidal, as mentioned above, learned all about suicide from her mom. An explosive and depressive personality, the mother was given to suicidal threats, once actually turning on the gas jets and vowing to kill herself and all of her children. Duke and Hodgman, 1992, what's that? 5, 6, 7, 8. Page 8. It gave me the Roman numerals. I had to count. Okay. Thank you, Tabitha. She said, just the other day, I told my daughter we don't pass down sickness. We pass down bad food. That's right. Never. Hey, girl, Miss Amazing Wonders. Hannah said, dissociative identity disorder. Oh, thank you. DID. Thank you. DID stands for dissociative identity disorder. Previously called, oh, okay, I get it. AKA DID. Okay. Dissociative identity disorder, previously called multiple personality disorder, is usually a reaction to trauma as a way to help a person avoid bad memories. Okay, got it. Thank you. All right, so okay. The last paragraph on page 63. What time is it? Okay. In another family drama, the mother of a 24-year-old daughter who had killed herself over a failed relationship in turn tried to take her own life. She hoped to join her daughter. Instead, quote, she found herself in what appeared to be hell, being jostled up and down by two satanic beings, end quote. Rawlings, 1978, pages 95 to 96. Maurice Rawlings relates this to a similar case of a demon-inspired suicide. A 14-year-old girl became despondent over a bad report card. Oh my gosh. Listen, this is stuff right here just really, things involving children, I gotta be careful because I get overly sensitive, especially people taking advantage and abusing children. I get heated on the inside, and the way people talk to kids, okay, listen. Maurice Rawlings relates this to a similar case of a demon-inspired suicide. A 14-year-old girl became despondent over a bad report card. Her parents had totally focused on her inability to measure up to her sister's grades and her looks. They always compared the two. The girl committed suicide, or tried. Her stomach was pumped, and she came out of a coma. Her stomach was pumped, and as she came out of the coma, she cried, quote, "Make them let go of me, those demons in hell," end quote. Jesus, peace. We opened this chapter with a brief rundown of suicidal killers, noting a certain pattern of passive-aggressive behavior. This, too, is a family affair. Poke around their family histories, and soon you will find the makings of a loser, a criminal, a suicide. Take James Rupert, for example. This man killed 11 of his relatives. In his late teens, James had tried to hang himself. Even this was a failure, though he remained suicidal for decades to come. Reviled by both parents, James, who later proved to be sexually impotent, was an outcast in his own family, the son of a violent, cold, and rejecting father, and a, quote, mistake, unquote, according to his mother, who had wanted a girl. Man, see, but not, people like this make me want to fight them. And I know I'm supposed to all be for peace, but sometimes peace might need to be enacted by the next person. Why? I'm ready to lay these hands on you. Right? Give me them kids. Bring them babies over here. You know? I'm just like, listen. I get hot about this, y'all. Reviled by both parents, James, who later proved to be sexually impotent, was an outcast in his own family, the son of a violent, cold, and rejecting father, and a, quote, mistake, end quote, according to his mother, who had wanted a girl. She beat and taunted the boy while showering love on his older brother, himself a sadistic person who locked James in the closet, tied him with a rope, and beat him with a hose and sat on his head. Grisly family histories among suicidal offenders are not unusual, but the norm. Arthur Jackson, a murderous stalker and would-be assassin, had tried to kill himself on his 21st birthday. He was the son of an alcoholic father and schizophrenic mother. The mother of Joe Collinger, another suicidal killer, flogged him with a whip, beat him with a hammer, burn him on the stove, and threatened to castrate him. There are about 40,000 suicides in the United States per annum, and probably more attempts. Among the most common stressors are depression, and there's an asterisk, and down at the bottom, it says, underplayed or so-called antidepressive and other medicines like ADHD drugs that may actually trigger suicidal urges. William Styron, 1990, pages 70 to 71, was, quote, convinced that this tranquilizer, halcyon, is responsible for exaggerating to an intolerable point the suicidal ideas that had possessed me, end quote. Soon after he was taken off it, quote, my suicidal notions dwindled, then disappeared, end quote. And I've heard that from some people who are prescribed different antidepressants and medicines and stuff, and just looking through some cases of different insane asylums, they said the medicine makes them like suicidal, like they could literally feel it. Now, I haven't taken any medicine that made me feel that way, but I remember when I had my I had that ectopic pregnancy where I had the surgery. I told y'all that story a few weeks ago. They had given me some something for the pain. I want to say it was morphine. If I remember, it was a couple of different hard narcotic pain killers that they were giving me. And when I was sitting in there, it made me feel like it made me feel like I wasn't in control. Like I could feel it. And it was like, I felt like I didn't look like this because my husband was there. He was like brushing my hair and stuff. But y'all ever seen movies, people in insane asylums, and they sitting in the chair and they just looking like this and hair all over their head? I felt like I looked that way, right? And I think I had dreads at the time. My hair was but they were longer. But I felt like I looked that way, and I couldn't get my thoughts together. And what I could get out, I said, please don't let them give me any more of what they was giving me. And my husband came in and he's like, what are y'all giving her? You know, and I want to say it was morphine, y'all. I got to go. I think I got rid of those records because that was the end of 2009, before Josh was born. Yeah, I want to say it was morphine, y'all. And listen, it probably was morphine. Morphine, like, girl, morphine, he did what to you? But I don't like taking pills, like anything. It's like, I had this thing about taking pills when I was younger, so I don't like to put anything in my body. And it probably was because I'm mostly natural. It probably like extremely, it like did a number on my system. And I felt like I was drooling at the mouth. By the time I was like, listen, I need to get out of here. I said, take me home, please. And that's when my sister, because she was she hadn't become an RN yet, but she was able to be approved where they still lived in Augusta, Georgia at the time, and she was working at the hospital there. But they had this program to where, like, if you have a family member who has had like major surgery or something, you could put in a request to go be their home nurse. And when this was happening, my husband had called my sister and he was letting her know what was going on. And she had recently become aware of this, and she said, well, I'm not sure if this will get approved, but yeah, get her out of there, you know. And granted, y'all, I was bleeding internally and stuff, and I was in pain. I was like, please help me with the pain and all that. So they gave me something that they thought would kill my pain. Me not understanding how it would affect my body, it just, I'm just like, so people who talk about stuff like this, if that morphine or that painkiller made me feel like that, where it felt like I wasn't in control, like it was like I was like, I don't even know how to explain it. It's like I was there, but it was like I was just kind of like floating there. Like if anybody wants to come do anything to me, I felt like I didn't have any kind of control to stop it. And thankfully my husband was there 24/7. And by the time I was able to get out, I'm like, babe, that's what is. And I remember myself trying to pull my words together. I'm like, what are they giving me? I said, please don't let them, I was messing my words up. Please don't let them give me any more of what they're giving me. I'd rather be in pain, right? And so I was like, the only thing I'm going to take is Motrin. I said, give me Motrin. I said, anything else, I'm just going to have to trust and believe the Father that it's going to have to take care of this pain, right? So, but anyway, my sister got approved, and she actually came. They didn't give her leave, but they actually paid my sister to come here. My sister was here for 2 weeks with me, helping me recover from this surgery I had from this ectopic pregnancy where I was bleeding internally. Like when I said I had no strength, I couldn't even walk, like my breath. It was hard for me to catch my breath. You know how they give you them, well, the women probably know, they give you these, I forget what it's called, the thing to breathe in to help get your breath back up. It was hard to do that. And shucks, that took I want to say 4 to 5 days before I could get a good full breath in. I didn't realize that's the first time I ever experienced a surgery and how much it literally takes out of you. Like it literally can take your soul out of you, right? Like literally, it can detach your soul from your body and you just be out of here. And now you're really floating around. I'm just like, listen. Okay, so I haven't experienced the spirits telling you to take your life or the suicidal thoughts, but I've been in a place where I felt that I had no control over my body. Like I was just hovering there, so I know this is, like I said, I thank the Father that it has never gone to suicidal tendencies and stuff like that. I'm just I'll stay away from everything. I need to be in complete control of my vehicle at all times.
I mean, I think we're too happy to even have a suicidal thought, to be honest with you.
You say what?
We're too happy to have a suicidal thought.
People be
like, oh, this suicide. Yeah. Well, I'm sorry
I was joking about that. I was joking about that yesterday. Hold on. You know what, Anita? I went back up. Oh, shoot. Uh-oh. I almost killed y'all. I'm sorry. Ooh. I'm trying to go over here to the comments. Look, I was going to mention that, Anita. That thought came to my mind. Anita said, do you think this is what happened with Whitney and her daughter, Bobby? That is exactly what happened to them, right? Because I'm doing my studying and stuff, and Whitney was like, oh, my God, the queen then passed away, right? I know they call Mary J. Blige the queen, whatever, but Whitney is the true queen. Ain't nobody matching her voice. But that's my opinion. But when the same thing happened to her daughter, I'm like, wait a minute. But then not that, even the girl's boyfriend, same thing happened to him, right? All of this, and even though he wasn't a part of the family, but you're still kind of under that influence and stuff, and that same type of behavior is being modeled and passed down. I think that's exactly what happened to them. It's sad, You said, Key, like the book, A Child Called It. I ain't never read it. I don't think it. Look, Jamil said that book was hard to read. If she said it's hard to read and it got to do with children, I probably won't pick it up. Y'all would have to give me an overview because I got this. Some things is near and dear to my heart, and I just can't sometimes.
Beautiful.
Right?
I'm so sorry for cutting off this real quick. But
Look, boy, if you don't,
mama and my daddy needs to see this for marriage.
Well, thank you.
They need to. They need some time.
Ooh, that's beautiful.
Mm-hmm. They need some time to.
Ooh, send me that. Okay. We like to travel to beautiful places to keep the fires of passion burning between us. Right?
Y'all gotta take me to Norway. I swear.
You can take your own self to Norway. Menopause makes one crazy. I'm so late. Prince, shalom, brother. Hold on, let me go back. Okay. All right. Yeah, Key, he died. Bobby's boyfriend, yeah, he died shortly after he did. And I want to say it was overdosing. It was drugs. They found him dead. Go look it up. They found him dead, Okay, so let me go back to where we at. Ooh, right at 8 o'clock. Okay, so we definitely not going to finish this. But let me get through to this, I think, right after this portion where it pulls from the book of Fragapati. That's at least where I wanted to get to. Okay. Global purpose, shalom. Okay, so go back to page 64. where it said, the second paragraph from the bottom, Grisly family histories. Okay. Grisly family histories among suicidal offenders are not unusual, but the norm. Arthur Jackson, a murderous stalker and would-be assassin, had tried to kill himself on his 21st birthday. He was the son of an alcoholic father and schizophrenic mother. The mother of Joe Callinger, another suicidal killer, flogged him with a whip, beat him with a hammer, burned him on the stove, and threatened to castrate him. His own mama.
Yeah, his mother had schizophrenia. Schizophrenia is that multiple personality disorder?
Kind of like it. It's close. It's close. It's like they give a separate definition, but it's close. It's close. There are about 40,000 suicides in the United States per annum, and probably more attempts. Among the most common stressors are depression, anguish, hopeless despondency or dejection, unbearable stress or guilt, trauma, grief, crushing disillusionment, defeat, or disgrace. Group suicide is another matter, possibly delusional or mission-oriented. For example, the 1996 mass suicide of the members of Heaven's Gate cult who thought a spaceship was coming to collect their souls and take them to a better life. Okay, after group suicide, there is another asterisk.
Oh, wait, I know about that one. There was a whole site about it.
Yeah.
They did mass suicide with each other or drinking some type of fruit punch. And died.
He said fruit punch. He talking about Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, listen. Hold on.
Other stuff, they looking real stupid right now.
You say they're looking real stupid right now?
They probably come visit like, shut up.
Yeah, they all floating around in chaos like, bruh, did you know about this? Did you know? In Mesolithic times, quote, vagabond spirits persuaded mortals to suicide, and they killed themselves by thousands and tens of thousands, end quote. Oahspe, Book of Thor, chapter 6, verse 13. In the archaeological, let's say that wrong, archaeological record, human bones arranged in a circle have been found suggesting ritual suicide and compact. Wow. Okay.
What?
Yeah. It's archaeology, but it's archaeological. I messed it up.
Archaeological?
Okay, let's go back up.
I think you said it right. I think you're putting too much emphasis on the
probably
on the "it" part.
Look, Brian's joking. Look, Bobby Brown's sister is spilling the beans on what actually happened. I missed it. Y'all know I'm nosy. I'm gonna have to go look it up. Okay, so I'm gonna have to go look this up. Brian's joking. Thank you for that, brother. Look, okay, because I really followed this. Look, I was one of the ones, because I was doing a lot of my research and waking up out of the church. When I say I prayed for Bobby Christina, I really prayed for that girl to pull through, because I noticed that, you know, what was on Whitney was passed down to her. I was really praying for that girl to pull through. That was during the time when I was doing my all-nighter prayers, and like every Sabbath we would come on at midnight, and then we would end at 6, and we would stay up there. We wouldn't stay up there like them whole hours, but I would check in, and some people would be up with me, and we just pray all night. And that's when I saved all my clothes, folding, and all this stuff, and some of the deeper cleaning things. I would wait till that day, because that's what kept me up. So if I got something to do, I can stay woke and pray, right? But I really, and even during that time, I did a couple of videos about her. And one of the all nights of prayer, our focus was praying for her. Like I was really following. I really wanted to see that girl pull through, you know. I even shed a couple tears when they just completely removed her from the, you know. I'm just like, man, you know. But okay, look. Go back up. Page 65. Group suicide. Hold on, wait. Did I? No. Okay. Back at the top. Group suicide is another matter, possibly delusional or mission-oriented. For example, the 1996 mass suicide of the members of the Heaven's Gate cult who thought a spaceship was coming to collect their souls and take them to a better life. Let us not underestimate the demonic power. One modern satanic priest who turned from his wicked ways and wrote a book about it speaks about his work in, quote, raising a demon, end quote, Warrant, 1972, pages 67 through 69, quote, as members of the Brotherhood, we probably understood demons better than most people because we used them to accomplish our evil deeds. These are legions of demons who can be used to inflict disease, possess men, possess animals, oppose spiritual growth, disseminate false doctrine, torment people. They talk or cry with a loud voice using the tongues and lips of humans. They can tell lies. When embodied in a human being, they can cause suicides, end quote. This is absolutely true. They got a couple books written about it. Right? And so I ordered a couple of them. Matter of fact, Damon Brand, remember the guy I was telling you about, the magic books and everything? He tells you everything, the good and bad stuff. So me, I got the stuff. So I need to test some of these things. Not that I use any of the bad stuff, right? I didn't use any of the bad stuff, but I wanted to test. I'm like, okay. But then when I realized doing this, it'll disconnect you from the Father. Not saying that supernatural things don't happen, but what tends to happen with people when they get stuff like this, they start, especially when they start seeing results, they start putting their faith more into these things and working out these rituals and stuff. And before you know it, they done completely turned away from the Father, completely trusting in all of these little magic works and stuff that they can do and are getting results. Did y'all hear me? And you get results. But what happens is, as we walked through Oahspe and I was learning about this, I was like, holy crap, yeah, that is like completely selfish. That's all about you, all about me. That ain't helping raise nobody up. And so I was like, okay, I can see the delusion in this stuff. Now, you getting some results, whether you want to use it for good or bad. Some people taking they use it for good stuff. And it would seem to be good, right? But if you take a deeper and a closer look, it's really selfish. Right? And it's not helping to raise up your fellow brothers and sisters. You just really, and if you help raise them up in any way, when you use this, it's for you to ultimately, because you need them for this particular thing to work. So they need to raise up a little bit so you can get to where you're going. That's still selfish. Right? So I was like, okay. I see. Now I understand this. Close them all up. Never again, right? I'm like, because that is not the road I'm trying to go. But I understand that road now, right? Because I looked at it, and just like you got the good stuff, you got stuff they teach you how to do curses to say over people, whether it's somebody at work messing with you, something as simple as that, or something else. So you want to inflict pain on somebody, or even have them to do stuff like this to go take their life. All that is in there. And I do like Damon Brand, the author, because he tells you all this. He said, I'm going to just be upfront with you. What I found, our studies, this and this and this, how it works, why it works, and some things we're not quite sure. But when done like this, and he even gets into like blood rituals and how things sealed with blood works, he said, I don't recommend that you do it. He tell you, he said, I don't recommend. He said, but people that are dabbling into it, he noticed that there are people dabbling into stuff, trying to figure things out, and they're getting themselves all kind of locked up and crazed in their minds because of dabbling in things that they don't really understand. So he put a good education, and I'm not saying go get this stuff, y'all. Before I told y'all, the author even gave you the list. Some of y'all even got it, right? But I'm telling you now, keep your eyes only on the Father, right? Don't go using this stuff. Just don't, right? That's my advice now. After going through it and learn a little bit more, just do not. It's good to have the education. How I use the information I've learned now, from that stuff, I know how to spot things, and I can recognize when certain things are being done against other people. It helps me in my really wanting to raise people up and set them free and help them get free. Like, who's the author? Damon Brand, right? And it's called the Gallery of Magic, right? But he gives really good details and all of this stuff, and it's a good education. But I would say It's not an education for those who like to take shortcuts. If you want to get the education, like I said, you just understand how certain things work to better help you recognize some things when you're out there, because you can avoid things by being knowledgeable. Knowledge is truly a defense, and it can save you if you understand what's happening. Even if you got things haywire going on in your house and you're not quite exactly sure what's happening, it could be something, it could be something spiritual that has taken place or happened that you're not aware of. But if you are aware of some things spiritually, you can pinpoint it. It's like surgeons, people who are specializing. As you get more education, you begin to specialize. Like you have neurosurgeons and you have pediatric. They specialize in certain things, right? I think it's a specialization for those who are growing in spirit. Not that they're going to come out there and become witches and warlocks and use this stuff to harm other people. But I think it's needful to know so you can recognize some things, right? Especially if you're praying for people, trying to help people grow. I think it's useful that way, right? So that's that with all that I've learned. That's how I'm using it now. I'm not actually using it, but I'm using the information I've learned to recognize things when I walk into stuff. I'm like, yep, no. If somebody asks me for some advice or something, I'll look what's going on. I can kind of see some things, right? So that's all I'm going to say about that at this point in this day in my walk, right? Okay. I can just recognize some things really clearly happening spiritually. Not everything, but some things I am aware of. You can just kind of pick up some things. Okay. All right, hold on. We're about to end, y'all. Yeah, let me just get to this. I want to end right here after this, this portion on this next page. Hold on. Okay. Page 65, the second paragraph. Oh, wait. Oh, no. The end of that paragraph, the 1, 2, 3, the third one, where it says, I do not doubt, okay? I do not doubt that human malevolence can raise a demon or summon dark angels who are all too eager for mischief and mayhem or to fulfill a curse. Before being hanged, H.H. Holmes, the notorious multicide of, quote, Murder Castle, end quote, in the 1890s, hurled curses upon everyone who had played a part in his conviction. Shortly after Holmes' execution, his attorney died and the superintendent at Holmes' prison committed suicide. The coroner who had testified against Holmes at the trial also met a gruesome death, as did the priest who attended Holmes at the gallows and the foreman of his jury. Listen, there is something like this happened. Well, you can see it clearly with like the Kennedy family, right? That's all I'm gonna say. I don't want to say too much, but there's a few places where you can see things that's happening, people involved in certain things. This is definitely something that was done. Matter of fact, with the Kennedys, they call it the Kennedy curse. Bruh, something more spiritual happened that's causing these things. Like, I watched a documentary. I was really curious about this. I'm like, why does it seem like certain things? But the more I read through them magic books or whatever, I began to recognize certain things. I'm like, holy crap. Definitely, there is truly, I know some people just spiritual, they just kind of label, yeah, they definitely, they got some kind of generational curse. But there is really a curse. There's a curse running through their family that needs to be broken, like it's clear to see, right? But we ain't gonna get into all the details of that. Okay, listen. Let me read this paragraph again. I do not doubt that human malevolence can raise a demon or summon dark angels who are all too eager for mischief and mayhem or to fulfill a curse. Before being hanged, H.H. Holmes, the notorious multicide of Murder Castle in the 1890s, hurled curses upon everyone who played a part in his conviction. Shortly after Holmes' execution, his attorney died, and the superintendent at Holmes' prison committed suicide. The coroner who had testified against Holmes at the trial also met a gruesome death, as did the priest who attended Holmes at the gallows and the foreman of his jury. Nandor Fodor, 1964, page 71, once wrote that he has personally known several people who claimed to possess a demonic power that made people drop dead. One rather unsavory character I have observed was a drunkard and a criminal. He had an accomplice who could have given him away. He wished with a fierce concentration that his partner in crime would commit suicide. He did commit suicide, carrying out the telepathic suggestion. If ever there was a psychic murder, this was it. End quote. A more recent case of an all too offensive imprecation involved Pat M., a 1970s TV personality who had offended an occultist, tarot reader whose talents extended into the craft, the black arts. No sooner than he placed a vehement curse upon the pretty, happy-go-lucky celebrity than things began to go wrong, very wrong. Friends slipped on her stairs, felt pushed, and were in auto accidents. Her boyfriend tried to choke her, and 2 close friends committed suicide. 2, her private secretary died mysteriously in Pat's mansion in a baffling fire. The vivacious Pat was determined to get to the root of the problem and managed to uncover the ghosts in the closet, which may have served as excellent proxies for the evil-minded tarot master. In addition, her street, as it turned out, had in the 19th century been the site of public hangings. The mansion itself was a graveyard of sorrows and crimes, its tenant history riddled with acrimonious divorce, alcoholism, sickness, accidents, murder, and suicide, quote, a miasma of horrors, end quote. Were these unhappy dead recruited by the hostile sorcerer? Montadon, 1975, pages 35, 162, 183, 186, 150, 132, and 171. When actor Robin Williams took his own life, many asked, quote, how he could do it when he had everything: fame, wealth, adulation, family love, and plenty of work, end quote. Cavett, 2014, page 54. Well, the unseen cause remains hidden. Maybe he had too much of a good thing, arousing the fiend of jealousy. Let me illustrate this point with a case from Dr. Wickland's files. One suicide, Mrs. X, who came through Mrs. Wickland, the medium, declared that, quote, evil spirits had been attracted to me by the jealous, emphasis added on jealous, thoughts of another person, end quote. Mrs. X, though extremely happy, had hanged herself in a bizarre fit of mania. Her spirit later explained, quote, as soon as I found myself out of my body, I saw at once the cause for my rash act, end quote. It seems that many were jealous of her lovely family. What's more, quote, hey, what you doing, boy? Oh, okay. Hold on. What's more, quote, I did not know at that time that I was a psychic because I belonged to the Baptist church. Something got a hold of me. I did not know what I was doing. I remember feeling very strange, as if somebody had taken complete hold of me, made me kill myself because they wanted to break up our happy home, end quote. Reviewing the case, Dr. Wickland would comment, quote, a great number of unaccountable suicides are due to the obsessing or possessing influence of earthbound spirits, some of whom are actuated by a desire to torment their victims, end quote. Wickland, 1974, page 132. And here's the quote from Oahspe, Book of Fragapati, where we're going to end at. Okay. Quote, wandering spirit pursued evil for evil's sake, persuading mortals to commit suicide and to all manner of wickedness. Others, know not themselves who they are, neither can they go away from the mortals to whom they are bound. End quote. And that's found in the Oahspe, Book of Fragapati, chapter 37, verse 3, and chapter 35, verse 7. And this is where we're going to pause at today. We'll pick this back up tomorrow, and although it's Saturday, Mom, I'm not going to have that much time because I really need to be leaving out of the house, like leaving out my door at 7:30 tomorrow to head to class. So we're going to start right on time. And if I only get through one chapter of Oahspe, I ain't going to try and squeeze in another chapter just so we can get in here and we can finish up this chapter, because this is really good. And I want to finish this up tomorrow so we can get to chapter 4 on Sunday, soul murder. Right? Okay. So with that being said, beautiful people, thank y'all for hanging out. Let me put my page number 62 to 67. Y'all, it is Friday, November the 11th, 2022, day 260 of year 4, reading through the books of the Law and the Prophets. Another 4-year consecutive day count is day 1279. We read in Oahspe, Book of Sathantes, pages 19 through 22. And in Field Guide to the Spirit World, we're still in the Black Dog Unleashed, which is giving a lot of its attention to suicides, how and why they happen. That's the Black Dog Unleashed, right? And that was pages 62 to 67. I hope y'all enjoyed it today. I will keep y'all updated about New Mexico State University getting back to me. I already put in the request, but I counted. Wait a minute. Oh, boy. Listen, don't do that. Put that back. That's too sharp. You almost just cut yourself. I'm going to show you how to open that the right way without, boy. Just wait a second. Hold on. All right. I'm going to keep y'all updated. They said it'll take a few days and they're going to get back with me. But I counted the files that I wanted, and some of the files are thick, right? But it's 13 of them that I was like, I need all 13 of these, right? So it may take them a little longer than a week. They probably didn't expect me to give them 13 files, right? But we'll see how fast they move. I told them I wanted it in PDF format, right? So it makes it easier to upload them up. We're gonna figure out something so y'all, everything that they're giving me, I want to make available to all of y'all. So we'll figure out how to do this, the website or whatever, maybe some link on my webpage, Su.ic.ide, to where you can go. And I'll also make sure that you're able to download it, right? And it'll be, wait a minute. It's going to be 100% free. So share it, whatever, right? Whatever. We ain't asking y'all for nothing, but it helps us in our spiritual growth. And it just gives us more information that we were not aware of. I also requested like pictures, some of the interviews from the people, because there's a section of it. Yes, a section there where it talks about shalom from those who were actually there. So during this time when this stuff was going on, they had the interviews and requested on the jump drive. Yeah, they're gonna email it to me. They're gonna also send me copies, and they're gonna give them to me on some of which I would think it'd be a jump drive, but I'm gonna just make sure that they don't send me a CD or something, because I ain't got nothing to play no CDs on. I don't think they would, but I'm just probably need to check and make sure they give it to me on the jump drive. So yeah, thank you for that. No, I'm talking about to look at documents and stuff. Like even my computers, I don't have CD-ROMs on any of our computers, not even at the office. We got jump drives. So, but yeah, thank you for that, just to make sure. But yeah, so I keep y'all updated. So I expect to hear something from them by Wednesday. You know, today everybody's closed. It's Veterans Day, so give them a few more days, and we'll just see where they at and how long it's gonna be, right? So I keep y'all updated on all that stuff. So, all right, beautiful people. That's it for today. I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here. So remember, Saturday 6:15 too, because I'm in school, right? So Sunday it'll be no holds bar, but this Saturday, at each term, one Saturday out of each term, I actually have to show up on campus and sit there. It's kind of like our check-in day. But all the other days, I do it virtual for most of my classes. But when it's when I don't have to check in, I can probably go right up to 10 minutes to where I need to log on, where I have to be live for my class. So we'll still have a little bit of time to play with, but, you know, I'll keep y'all updated. All right, y'all, that's it. I love y'all. I'll see y'all back here tomorrow morning, bright and early, 6:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Peace.